Hi, hello. Welcome back to my podcast about knitting and my life. And today is a special edition of the podcast because it is my birthday episode. So, I celebrated my birthday on April 22nd, also known as Earth Day. And when I was growing up, I really didn't like to share my birthday with Earth Day. And now I would say I feel apathetic about it, and occasionally I take advantage of that fact by using it for marketing purposes. Though this year I did not involve the earth in any of my birthday marketing. But let's just start the episode off with the most important bit of information for this episode, which is that my birthday sale is ongoing. Um, it is the longest birthday sale that I've ever run. We are doing a full week for the sale. Sorry, oh my gosh, I am sitting so far away from my camera as I do because this lens has such a long focal length. Well, it's not that long, it's 35 millimeter, but in order to get a good frame for this style of vlog, I have to have the camera kind of far. And like, there's all sorts of info on the monitor, and sometimes I see little things flashing around and it freaks me out, but I need to just chill the hell out because the main thing is I can see my monitor is framed by a red rectangle, and that means we are recording, and that's the most important part. I already checked that the mic is on. Anyway, in the past I've always done like weekend sales or 3-day sales, but I was like, why limit myself? Let's go for a full week. I also generously upped the sale by 3% because I've always done 22% off in in commitment to the 22nd of April. Not gonna catch me giving you my age as the percentage off. Maybe one day. Oof, but the longer I wait to do that, then the more of a discount it'll be. But props to those designers who want to keep upping that percent every year for their age. That's a beautiful thing. Not me. However, I did up it to 25% off, a whole quarter off. So take advantage. You have until the end of the day on like the 28th, I think. So, like next Monday, I want to say, if that's correct. I think that's the full week from my birthday. So you have time, but not too much. Don't wait. Take advantage. The code is all lowercase, birthday 25. I hope I got that right. If it doesn't work, go double check whatever I posted on Instagram. For 25% off my entire pattern library, and that includes the ebook pattern bundles that I've been putting out the past year and a half, which I think there are 3 of them now. Let me just talk about the newest one, which is the most exciting. Magnificent Modular Knits Volume 1 came out on my birthday. I always like to put out a new pattern on my birthday, and this year it was a shirt of fire and ice, which if you watched my last episode, I was wearing this for the episode. It's really beautiful, and as I was posting photos on Instagram and wherever, I had to come to terms with the fact that a little phenomenon that sometimes happens called I like the back more than I like the front. Yeah, you just never know what you're gonna get with color changing yarns, and it's really difficult to try to, you gotta let fate take its course, and it's okay to be more beautiful from behind. I would never like bother to like rip through balls to try to control fate, We've got to, as I said, we've got to let fate take its course. Obviously, when I finish one ball and I'm picking the next, then yeah, I have a chance to see, okay, maybe do I want to pull from the outside or the inside of this cake, and which one of these cakes do I want to use next if it is cakes. And but then you also, if you have something with a very defined color changing order, like Noro tends to, change colors in the exact same order from ball to ball, and you're pulling from the other end, then you're changing the color flow, which may be something you intentionally want to do, or it may be something you want to avoid. But anyway, the back of this just turned out with the color changes a lot more dynamic. You get a lot more of like the purples and stuff. And from where I'm sitting in the monitor, this, I feel like you can't see anything, but I just have to trust that you can. I'm also wearing contacts for increased beauty. I mean, I think I look cute in glasses, but there's just something extra snatched looking about nothing on my face. And, um, glasses make my eyes minimized a little bit. I want to have my full size eye. By the way, because I don't know, it just seems like something I do, and it seems like something a lot of podcasters do. I'm gonna mention my beverage, okay? I'm not the only one to do it, and I'm not gonna be, wasn't the first, I'm not gonna be the last. But this is a beverage I'm not often drinking on the channel, which is an iced coffee. It's a rare treat that I have a second coffee in the day. I had an idea that I was probably going to record today, but I had, it's all sorts of setup and planning and getting myself ready and like doing whatever other tasks I have for the morning. So I would never wait to have my coffee. I do like to have a coffee within 10 minutes of waking up every single day. And my breakfast as well. I don't like to wait to eat ever. And I usually keep it to one coffee a day, but I was like, it's my birthday, it's my podcast, it's my life. I'm gonna have a second coffee. I made it in the mocha pot, which for the first for the past year, I would say I've primarily been, well, in Croatia, I was a mocha pot girly. But since returning to the US, which we're coming up, it's almost been a year. Next month, it will have been a year since I left Croatia, which is so funny the way time flies. But I was a mocha pot girly in Croatia, and then I went back to being a pour over girly once I moved into my own apartment in Chicago. And then I had a mocha pot because I wanted to have options and I wasn't using it. And then lately I've gotten into the mocha pot. And one of the reasons I think I've gotten into the mocha pot is that I have been, coffee it's like a luxury item. It's an import, like it costs money. And I really love to buy like high quality, beautiful, like single origin, locally roasted craft coffee, and that's super expensive. And I just realized how much I was spending on that, and I was like, I don't need to have designer coffee in my mug every single day. So I started buying much cheaper coffee, but I did instantly kind of clock that it was just much less flavorful. Not even like, oh, it's like it tastes really good or tastes really bad. Just doesn't taste like much of anything. So I kind of have the feeling that the pour over is better for more like strong tasting coffees and getting a really nuanced brew. Um, and the mocha pot is a little bit more, it like draws more flavor out of the coffee. So for these cheaper coffees, I've been loving the mocha pot. I also, for making coffee at home for years, I've never been putting syrups or flavorings. But with this cheap coffee, I've gotten really back into sugar-free syrup, which I had, the only reason I even had it in my apartment is because I bought some like the last time my mom visited last year. Because she does not like to have an unflavored coffee. She likes to have coffee every day, but she wants there to be a flavor for it, or she thinks it's like too bitter, which I understand, but I have developed the taste for plain coffee. But again, with these cheaper, less flavorful coffees, I love my mocha pot and I love a syrup. All my ice is already melted because I poured this hot over ice. And I put a lot of ice, but it doesn't matter. It was hot coffee. Normally, if I were brewing in a mocha pot for iced coffee, I'd let it sit for like an hour or even pour it into a mug and put it in the freezer. Also, an inelegant receptacle for my iced coffee, but not, I knew it would be too much volume for any of my nice glasses that I have. What I would really love is not particularly elegant, but it's classic, is I would love a quart mason jar. And I had one that I was drinking coffee out of for a while, and I think I broke it, or I was using it for protein shakes, and I left it outside of my locker at the gym, and I think a worker must have thought it was just left behind garbage and just removed it. So I finished my workout, and my jar was gone. And I did not uh, go to the front desk and say, "Hey, like, do you have a jar?" It's like, whatever. But that was a long time ago, and it's been on my mind to get more mason jars. I really like having them both for my protein shakes and for my iced coffees on the rare times. I don't normally have an iced coffee. I normally just have hot in the morning, but occasionally. And I specifically like quart jars with the wide mouth because they're easier to clean. And I do sometimes see them at the store, but they're usually in really large packs, and I would like a 4 pack. And I'm sure you can buy individuals or 2 packs or 4 packs, but I'm gonna have to find them online. Which I need to just do that. Why am I going without mason jars? Not even expensive and just like a basic need. I could have had months ago. Laziness, that's why. Okay, I just got really sidetracked. Okay, I'm supposed to be advertising my wares, not talking about beverages. um, a Shirt of Fire and Ice has nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Do not sue me, George R.R. Martin. Anyway, if you have been following me on Instagram and like seeing my stories and stuff, yesterday I posted all the tester versions, and there were a lot of them. I like to have big tests when I get a lot of people applying, and I just always plan that a fair number of people won't finish, which there will always be some people who have to quit the test or just aren't going to finish or ghost me or whatever, what have you. And I would say the majority of people, I don't remember how many testers I had to begin with. It couldn't have been much more than like 50. I normally try not to go over like 40 is like a good high cap. I might have let, because I let everyone who applied in, and I just turned off the application when it became too many. And I might have missed that by like a couple of hours and ended up having a few more than I would have like initially accepted, because I feel like there's no way I had much more than 50, and I had like 40 people fill out um, the feedback form for when you finish, and I had lots of people who had posted their finished objects on Instagram and Ravelry. So I shared all of those on Instagram yesterday, and I love them. I think everyone did such a good job. Almost everyone said how much they enjoyed knitting this. I love when people knit my modular patterns for the first time, and it's like a mind-blowing experience for them. They like wouldn't have been able to conceptualize how it comes together until they follow the instructions and knit it, and then they realize that it's so simple and really fun. And I love the people who run wild with choosing yarns and colors. There were a couple of versions that I love. Don't tell anyone, but I love so much more than my own version, honestly. Um, oh my gosh, one in particular. I want to say their Instagram handle is knitting in green. That would make sense because they chose a lot of green tones, and I'm a huge green lover. I would kill for their version of this sweater. They like were like holding scraps together and like marling and fading, and it was like a very saturated grassy neon-y green with like a rainbow of other colors, and they did a full sleeve with stripes going all down the sleeve. I hope I got that Instagram handle right. And I'm sorry I don't remember their exact name, but I think it's Knitting in Green. And yeah, I shouldn't be picking favorites because I really truly did love all of the tester versions and they're all beautiful and special and I love to see what everyone brings to the table. But obviously I have my own personal taste and what I would wear, and I'm even I'm even forsaking my own version to say I want that green one. Ugh. Anyway, so the next thing I want to just point out is that along with A Shirt of Fire and Ice also came my newest ebook pattern bundle, which was Magnificent Modular Knits Volume 1, I believe is what it's called. And I'm really happy to see that in the sales that I've gotten since launching this pattern and starting my birthday sale, more people are going for that modular pattern pack than for the individual pattern, which I say great to that. Like, you're getting a really good deal because I already am marking those patterns down so much when you buy them as a bundle. Like, historically, my garment patterns have been $8. I now have like maybe 2 patterns, including A Shirt of Fire and Ice, that are $9 just because the cost of everything's going up. And like, I don't really want to, I mean, I reserve the right to do whatever the hell I want with my business. And you also reserve the right to buy or not buy, only buy when there's a sale, buy full price, whatever. It's your life, it's your money. I don't think I want to go in and blanket raise my prices on all of my patterns, but more where I'm at right now on what I charge. I feel like I've kept it at $6 for accessories and $8 for garments since the beginning. And I've now realized that I am selling my patterns for what I would feel like, at least in the knitting world, below average for most of what I see. You know, of course, there's also tons of people coming out with beautiful free patterns, which I support that. I love that. I love a free pattern. I also support a knitter who, like, some people refuse to spend money on a pattern, and that is your prerogative. But as I was saying, I don't think I want to blanket raise my prices, but I do think I will probably be bumping up future releases, or like occasionally I'll go in, like Riblace Raglan, when I did the version 2, like no one asked me for that, you know, I just took it upon myself to like put in a lot of effort to improve an already like well-designed pattern and then also knit a second sample in the process. And I was like, okay, this feels right to bump up the price on something that I've now put in a significant amount more hours of work than I did initially. But anyway, generally, most of my garments are $8, and the pattern bundles, like the bundle for Magnificent Modular Knits, you get 5 garment patterns, and the full price is $30. So you're getting them for $6 per pattern instead of 8. Is that the correct math? I believe it is. And then for the sale, 25% off. What's 25% of 6? Like $1.50? I think it is. So you're getting 5 garment patterns for $4.50 each, which that is an extreme deal that is not going to come often. I'm not big on running sales all the time. It's just not the way I like to market. And I like to keep the buzz and the excitement around this birthday sale every year. Like, this is your chance. This is the one time where everything goes on sale. Occasionally, I might run small sales throughout the year for like certain categories or to celebrate one pattern or something, but generally not everything. So yeah, I recommend going for the full modular pack. And let me show you what else you get, just as a reminder. And I don't have everything. I'm missing one. And I'll talk about that. But you get, let me go in order of design. I love this pattern. You get Mystic Square, which was my first modular pattern. And I remember getting the idea for this during my master's at FSU, which FSU just had a horrible tragedy of a school shooting, and that is anyone surprised? It's also not their first school shooting, but this is America. Anyway, I remember getting the idea for this when I was in my master's at FSU and just like I ran with it. Like I like graded, designed, wrote, and knit this all in like 2 weeks. I was so excited, and thus began my journey of designing modular knits. And my initial inspiration came from loving Noro yarns. This is like a 2XL, and I still wear it occasionally. It's super oversized on me. I would love to knit another, and I also would love to do another similar type of rectangular like patchwork motif like this, maybe expanded with an extra layer and not a cropped silhouette, but like a full sweater with long sleeves is something that I'm sure I will do at some point. Who knows when? But it's on my mind. There's even a sketch of it in my notebook. Where is that? I feel like it has to be here somewhere soon. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, here it is. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I am positioned today in a way where I'm going to roll up. I'm on a rolling stool, and I'll probably roll up to the camera at some points. And I just went through all the effort to find this page, but now I'm feeling too lazy to get any closer. So I hope you saw it from back here. But anyway, you get Mystic Square. Then you'll get Sungazer, which is the one that I don't have. If you've been watching my podcast, you'll know I lost the majority of my knitted objects in the great mothening of 2024, which was that when I moved to Chicago and I took my belongings that had been in storage in Tallahassee, Florida for 2 years, and U-hauled up to Chicago to realize that they had undergone a moth infestation while in storage, which I learned my lesson about sealing your clothing and your knits and your yarn in plastic and in airtight containers. I just had them in like cardboard boxes, free to the elements, raw. But that was a shame. I can't think about it too much because it's too sad. But I did have to say goodbye to Sungazer, which is honestly, it's my most wild modular design. It's just a very interesting conceptual construction and knit, and it's very artistic and cool. And I would like to have one. I'll talk about that in a second. After Sungazer, you would get Beads of Joy, which both Mystic Square, Sungazer, and Beads of Joy are all reversible. The front and the back neckline is the exact same. They both just have a shallow dip, so that it's not too extreme and you can flip it around and it's not going to dip too low in the back. And I did that on purpose because with these color changing yarns, like I was saying with the Sure to Fire and Ice, you never know if you're going to like the front more or the back more. And I've started to shift more towards having my modular garments have a proper front and have a proper back because it is my preferred fit, rather than having identical front and back, and I think most people would agree. But there also is something really nice about having them be reversible, and I'm sure some people would probably prefer that I go back to the reversible ones, and maybe for some in the future I will do identical front and back pieces again. But sound off in the comments if you prefer one or the other. My definite preference is for this to be the back and for this to be the front. I just love the colors more on this one. I love the back is more like pastel-y and like pale. And then the front is more of the saturated reds and blues. So yeah, Beads of Joy, casually known as my anal bead sweater. And then after that, I designed Penta Pillar pullover, which I made 2 samples of that. And this is where you see I start to have a front and a back. Here's my first sample, which I love these colors and I love this yarn, but I never wear this. I wanted like the feeling of like an oversized t-shirt with like a big sleeve. And I did this like big barrel sleeve that has no decreases. And I actually hate the way this sits on me. It's too long. I think I could have made the sleeve a little bit bigger. I think I could have made the sleeve a little bit shorter, and I think I still should have put even a little bit of shaping would make it just sit right. Because the way it sits on me, it's like, in theory, I should like it, but there's something about it that always disgusts me, and I never want to wear it. And because the other version that I did, it's the same pattern. The only difference is if you change colors while you knit the columns, then you have a lot more room for creativity, which I would like to see a lot more people knit this and just go hog wild on like messing with yarns and colors, because I think there's a missed opportunity with this pattern to do a lot of cool stuff. But here is my checkerboard version, which I did half in Noro and half in mohair. So you get these semi-transparent. You know what? This is worth rolling to you. Oh my god, I just caught a small whiff of BO. I need to wear deodorant. It's getting hot outside. I don't know how many of you are like that, but like in the winter, and also as someone who spends most of my day at home, I'm not that into deodorant. Sorry, I'm not like an extremely stinky person, but once it starts getting hotter, then I get a little stinky. Um, I should have plugged in my camera because we're already at 76%, and I could plug it in mid-recording, or I could just, I don't know, I can keep my eye on it. Well, not really. I can only see it from up here. Anyway, I love this, and I do wear this a lot. And it's funny because I also didn't do any shaping on this sleeve. I think the difference of why I like the way this sleeve sits on me is I just didn't make it overly long. I think for a sleeve that doesn't have any shaping, I just made that too long. If it's gonna be that long, it has to have a little bit of a slant to it that it's lacking. So I love this yarn, and is this Silk Garden Sock, or is this Silk? I think this must be Silk Garden Sock, which is the recommended yarn for Sun Gazer. So my thought is, I mean, when am I gonna have time for this? I mean, I just have to make time for it if I'm gonna do it. I think I should frog this and make a Sun Gazer so that I have one. I mean, it's kind of sad to like have a design that is like a big part of my past that I don't have the garment anymore. I can't show it to anyone. Many sun gazers exist out in the world. It has been knit many times and people love it, and I love to see them. But yeah, I don't have one. The only thing is I don't actually think I'd wear it much. I do love it as a design. I just don't know how much it would fit into my current wardrobe. The main thing is I've stopped loving wearing super cropped stuff, and Sungazer is really cropped, and it is definitely doable. I mean, I'm the designer, so if I wanted to just figure out and like do a totally custom one for myself that is like longer, I'm sure I could do some quick math and figure that out. But even just to do one, because of the nature of that design and how wild all the moving parts are, it would be a lot of work, even just to do the math for myself, actually. To elongate it in the most beautiful way, where everything, you keep all the motifs as they are and like elongate them proportionally, would be a little bit difficult. There are less elegant ways to add length that I could do, but I would prefer, if I were going to add length, to do it the most beautiful way. So we'll see if I ever get around to that. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, my personal style is always changing, but definitely I used to really love to wear crop tops and show my belly. And now I feel more self-conscious about it. I feel more self-conscious about showing my belly after losing weight than I did while fat, because now I have a lot of loose skin that I don't like the appearance of. Whereas when I was fat, like I just had a hairy belly that is like more. I mean, okay, this language can sound like silly, but it's more normal than like loose skin, you know? But loose skin is also normal. I just think you see it less, right? Than you see like a belly. And normal or not normal, I did not feel self conscious about having my belly out, and I do feel self conscious about having it out now with loose skin. So I don't like love to wear crop tops as much. Uh, Even when I was wearing crop tops, I usually wasn't walking around with like this much midriff out. I would usually wear high waisted pants with a crop top and still only have like 2 to 3 inches of midriff. But I would say my style has also shifted. I still love a high waisted pant, but I used to really love to wear pants up to my titties, to put it directly. And now I don't wear pants that high so often. I don't really have a lot of pants that go that high at the moment. So yeah, body stuff, y'all. We all deal with it. It's very annoying. No amount of nice words or friendly comments will be helpful. It's like a personal journey that is really difficult. But oh well. Such is life. Will I ever frog this? Who knows? If I don't frog it, I think I should reknit the sleeves because I would actually like to wear this. But it's just like, ugh, I'm almost always going to want to wear this if I'm going to wear this design. I love the checkerboard. So I am already going a long time. I probably should plug in my camera. Shop my sale. You still have plenty of time to do so. And then I won't talk as in depth about the other pattern packs, but I will quickly plug them. Go for the Best Mesh Volume 1, which has 6 mesh patterns. And again, you're going to be getting them for, I think the price works out to be the same for like $4.50 per pattern. And then I also have still, obviously, I'm not getting rid of patterns, the big book of big book of basic drop sleeve sweaters, whatever the heck it's called. You know the deal with this. There's only 3 sweaters in there. There's still 2 that are going to be added. I've been keeping the price low while there's less patterns in that pack, and it rewards people who buy into it before the collection is complete, because people who buy into it now will get all of the patterns as they have been released. So the people who bought it when the first sweater came out, they only had to spend like $10 or something, or $12, and then they're gonna get 5 sweater patterns. So those were the wisest people. If having a book with a bunch of basic sweaters at different gauges is something that appeals to you, which is something that definitely appeals to me. I love that, because then you don't have to think so much. If you want a vanilla sweater, you can just buy any yarn and know that you have a pattern at home waiting that you could fit into the gauge. So there's two more of those to go. I want to say the price of that right now is sitting, I want to say, at $20, maybe. So you would spend 15 if you got that on sale, and then you would ultimately get 5 patterns. So that's $3 per sweater pattern if you get that now. I highly recommend it. And that's all the pattern bundles, I think, that I've talked about. But also go for individual patterns. Dappled lace raglan is not available in any bundle, and it's one of my favorite patterns. It's one of my best designs, I think. I think the fit is really flattering on people. I always wore I have 2 of these that I've made for myself, and I've mostly historically worn my linen cotton ritual dyes one in the like oatmeal-y color. And the colorway is called Rye. And I didn't wear this one as much, but I wore this for my birthday dinner and really loved it, and now I'm wearing it again, and I think I want to start wearing this one a little bit more often, but not too often, because it is 100% silk. It is single ply. It is like a little bit delicate, and I do think there will come a day that this starts to get a little bit grungy and worn looking, potentially in a way where I don't really want to wear it anymore, you know? That's just not everything is going to be hard wearing for your whole life. And this is, I do more consider this. It's not the most practical thing. It's like very fitted on me. In my day to day, I like loose clothing because it's more comfortable. So this is more of like an occasion top or a going out top, but I do want to wear it a little bit more. Let me go to my notes. That's my sale spiel. I only talked about it for 1 hour. It's not that much, okay? Y'all could sit for 1 hour for me talking about my birthday sale. It only happens once a year. Give me that hour, please. How was my birthday? My birthday was really cute. Like, often holidays, special occasion days, I just let them kind of pass like any other day, and that is cool with me. It's fine. So one thing about making a big deal of your birthday in your business the way I do, it's the biggest day of my business of the year, really, because I release a pattern and do a sale, and there's all sorts of marketing around the pattern, around the sale. That means for the past several years, I wake up on my birthday and I'm like, work, 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 work. I'm like on my phone and on my computer for like 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. I mean, I could probably try to do a little bit better job in the future of having more things ready to go before the day of, so that on the day of I'm just kind of like hitting post. But even if I prepared stuff, like I like to be active for a few hours online, you know? I like to be responding to nice comments and nice messages and talking to testers who are posting, and like I like want to be there. I don't just want to like throw up a bunch of marketing and disappear. I want to be there for the fun of it, you know? So it's always going to be like that. And it is a little stressful to be like, because I also like am having friends of mine trying to like call and FaceTime me to wish me a happy birthday, and I'm declining their calls. No offense, because I'm like, I have to get this work done, and I want it out of my day so I can actually enjoy the rest of my birthday. Then I'll call people back. Um, so, first half of the day was girl bossing. Then what did I do? Oh, what better thing to do than to enjoy going to the gym as I do almost every day? And it's like, I like to do stuff like that on my birthday. Like, I like to stay in my routine and do my same routine, but make it special for my birthday. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm really gonna enjoy my workout and make it a good one for me. And that's what I did. And then I also I've started swimming again. Maybe I'll talk about that more in depth later. But I went to the lakefront after my workout and had a nice cold swim. Got home, took a bath, which I haven't had a bath in a long time. I don't take them very often. But it is nice when you're having cold swims and you're totally chilled to the bone. And Jessie May had just texted me and been like, "What are you doing today? Like, are you doing anything?" And I was like, "No, not really. I'm just like doing me, enjoying life." And she was like, "Okay, well, I would love to take you out for lunch or dinner. Like, we can go wherever you want to go." And so I was like, "Okay, let's do dinner." And I thought about it, and like, I'm glad I really stayed true to myself. I mean, myself in that day. But like, it's just funny. I live in Chicago. I'm from Houston. Like, I've always had access to like big cities with a lot of amazing restaurants, cuisines, trendy, cool stuff. And I just wasn't in the mood to like try something interesting or special or super cool. What I wanted was something classic, tried and true, a place where I've been having birthday meals since I was a kid. I was like, I want to go to the Cheesecake Factory. And Jesse immediately was like, hell yes, Cheesecake Factory, let's do it. So we went up to, there's like a Cheesecake Factory downtown. I've never been to any Cheesecake Factory in Chicago before, but there's one downtown. I don't know what it's like. It's probably cool. I would like to go there at some point. But there's one on the north side in the suburbs, and I live on the north side of the city, so it was easy to get to those northern suburbs and go to that one at like a mall. And we had such a nice time. We were chatty the entire time driving there. We were in there for a long time. We had 3 courses. One thing I really like about Cheesecake Factory is they have a a low sugar or like sugar-free cheesecake option, which most restaurants, a lot of restaurants have kind of like some low calorie menu items for like entrees. But as a diabetic, I'm particularly trying to avoid specifically indulging in too much carbs. It's going to spike my blood sugar. So it's really nice to be able to have a dessert and not feel stressed about it, which like I work out so hard that my body is able to take more carbs and sugar than if I didn't work out. So occasionally I'm just gonna have the cake. I'm just gonna have the dessert and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. But I just feel like recently, like when my mom was visiting and like I've just been having tons of like little treats or whatever and like having more sugar than I like to have on a regular basis. So it was my preference. I was like, I would really love to have this low sugar cheesecake because I've had it many times and it is so good. I do not feel like I'm having something less or like having like a diet version of something. And it's still like very caloric and filled with cream cheese and it's delicious. It just doesn't have as much sugar. So that was really nice and that's one thing I really like about going there as a diabetic. And then Jessie also brought a gift for me, which of course she did, but I like wasn't expecting it because taking me out for dinner could have been the gift and it was a gift. She treated me and that was really sweet. But she also brought with her a gift that I wasn't expecting. And I'm just going to put all these knits on the floor. If you watch my Instagram stories, you probably saw this already. Why do I keep shutting my notes? I should keep them open. There's this shop called Top Drawer. There's a couple of them in Chicago. It's like a boutique that has a lot of like Japanese and other Asian imported writing implements like pens and pencils, art supplies, and stationery, and also just like a little bit of home goods, house slippers, that kind of thing. And also, I don't think it's all imports, but it's a lot of imports. I think there's also some like local goods. I love going in there, but it is really nice and like pricey, so I never buy anything. But I like everything they have. And the first time I went in there was with Jessie, and I was looking at these crayons. They're kind of like pastels, they're like really soft crayons, and they're called the Clear Crayon, and they are by Kokuyo. And I was just drooling over these, but I was like, I'm not spending that much money on crayons. And Jessie is the type to pay attention to those things and remember them and store them in her bank for 8 months. And then when it's time to get someone a treat, she surprises people with stuff like that. She's a great gift giver. And then she also got me this notebook, which they have a lot of like notepads and notebooks in this shop that are like totally handmade. Like honestly, the paper might even be handmade. Like they're really special, beautiful notebooks. I want to say this one's locally made. There was a card in the back. I don't know. It doesn't say where this person's from. Um, but the person who made this is called Elam, Elam, and then Elam for Itoya. Top drawer, fine book binding, soft cover sketch pad. Let me come close and show these off a little bit better. So I'm sorry, when I'm actually getting close, I don't have the light. Oh my god, it put a little thing on my screen that said backlight. I can try maybe like, yeah. We're a little bit closer here. You can just see, I'm gonna come close again even though it's backlit. Just so you can see like the quality of the paper being like special and different. And then I swatched all of my clear crayons. And then I did a little drawing. Ooh, this is interesting. So you can really see those swatches coming through the other side. And that's why I just said that that's interesting, because when I initially did the swatches last night, I was trying to decide, like, I don't know exactly what my intentions are with this sketchbook, but I was like, she got me these art supplies and this book together, and I want to use the art supplies in the book. And before I did this drawing, I was like, should I draw on both sides of these pages or only on one? And I did my swatches, and they were not showing through. And I was like, oh, great, this paper is like pretty thick, and these like crayons aren't like bleeding through, which they weren't. I couldn't see this at all. But I think sitting last night, like sitting closed with something on top, it like, they are like a pastel-y, like oily material. So I think they slowly seep in and saturate into the pages. So you really see them through. And I love this drawing, but it's not like I was gonna do any, I wasn't gonna tear it out and frame it. I'm just gonna keep it in here. But I think after seeing this, if I'm going to keep using these crayons in this notebook, which I would like to, I'll probably not um, draw on the backs of pages, right? And then here's what the crayons look like. The packaging is just so cute. And it's just such an interesting, unique crayon. I mean, the crayons themselves are like clear and like jelly-like. They're so cool. So I love that gift. It's really special. And I'm always wanting to draw more and to have a consistent drawing or an art practice. I love to draw. I love to make art like that. I just have never been good about doing it consistently. I'll like sometimes do a drawing to make a card for a friend or something. Um, but usually there have been short stints where I start drawing something every day, but I usually lose the habit because I just like to do so many different things. It's hard to do it all. But hopefully I can make a little bit more of a habit of doing it, and getting exciting art supplies certainly helps. So yes, I also got some Nike running shorts from my friend Felix, which I ran in those yesterday. They're really nice. All of my running shorts that I typically wear for running and for the gym, I really like them. They're very functional, but they're not anything nice or special. They're all just black, and I bought them at Decathlon in Europe, and they're like, you know, €4 a piece. So it is nice to have something that feels like really high quality treats. Um, Nicer materials, nicer design, nicer color. And then my friend Riley got me some sheet music for the piano by the composer Jan Tiersen, I think is his name, which I didn't recognize that name. I thought it seemed a little bit familiar, and I Googled it and saw he composed the soundtrack to Amelie, which I love, everybody loves. It's an amazing soundtrack. I just didn't really, wasn't familiar with him as a composer outside of that. So I had no idea he had like albums of solo piano music. So it was such a cool gift. Like, it's something I wouldn't have known about. I would have never been exposed to, probably, had he not gotten me that. So that was really unexpected and so exciting to come home to, and immediately, like, I was like, I want to sit down for the next hour and play through all of this, which I've played through most of it. There's a few I don't think I've played yet. It's very minimalist, it's very sparse, it's very playable, it's nice and like pianistic and beautiful. So, oh my gosh, I have a long list of things to talk about, and I'm already being so, being so wordy. I have other things I need to do today, so I don't want this to go for 3 hours. I don't think I ever go for 3 hours. I think my longer videos tend to be around 2 hours. And then my shorter videos tend to be around, like, they're always over an hour, hour 15, hour 30. We'll see. Whatever happens, happens. Um, so let's talk whips for knitting. I don't really have anything new to show. I feel like I haven't had that much knitting time. I've been more focused since the last time I recorded on jewelry, actually. But I did finish my first sock in this dragon fruit colorway, just a vanilla sock, just for funsies for myself. And I made the bind off a little bit too tight, but if I shimmy it slowly enough and I point my toes like a ballerina, I can get it over my instep, and that's good enough for me. I would rather struggle a little bit every time I put them on and take them off than have to redo a bind off. Especially like, well, I did leave enough of a tail to where I could probably redo the bind off more loosely without having to tie in new yarn. Maybe I'll redo it. Probably not though. Sorry. But I'm now on the second sock. That's going well. Going slowly, but going well. But I would like to speed up, and just in general, I want to maintain my sock practice because, as you saw in the last video, I've started to acquire a lot of beautiful sock yarn, and I do not want that sitting around for years. I want to knit it. I want the socks, okay? That yarn was expensive. I didn't buy it so it could sit and be pretty. Other whip is also what you saw last time, but I've definitely put some rows on it. And that is my DK basic drop sleeve sweater. The front panel, the back panel is already done. And I put a bunch of rows on this, and then I have gotten frozen. I've been working on my sock instead of this, which I should work a little bit more on this because this is actually for a pattern that I want to get out in the fall. But I reached the point where I need this to be the exact same length as the back panel that's already done. And I'm just feeling so lazy about opening my computer to check what I calculated for the row count or counting the rows on the back. I was just holding up the front and the back and trying to convince myself can I just knit this until it seems like the same? And it's probably I could get within 3 rows by doing it that way, which would be fine. But I do for when I'm knitting things to be seamed in panels, I generally like to have the exact row count. And then when I do my mattress stitch, it comes out perfectly. So I just need to stop being lazy. I hate when I get a little bit of anxiety about a knitting or a design task in this way that is such a small thing that I need to do. But I don't want to do it. I freeze up. I'm I don't want to open my computer. I don't want to count the rows. And it's quit being a baby. It would take 5 minutes and then you could finish this panel and get to your sleeves. It's because it's not just the task that is the current obstacle that gives me anxiety. It's the whole thing. It's when I think about doing that, then I think well, I also have to make sure I grade the pattern correctly and write it, because I think I'm only halfway through the process, or I just did the bare minimum of grading to start working on my sample, and I have probably a 40% written pattern. I start to get anxiety with projects like that if I take too much time on them. I hate to have a 40% written pattern that I wrote many months ago, because then when I open it back up, I'm oh God, what have I left myself with? Oh my gosh, I'm getting hungry. Ooh, that's a reason to speed up. Should have a protein bar on camera. I don't really want to. So this is going, hopefully one day, there's more to see. One day soon. I finished my tablet weaving piece that I've been working on, and I took forever. It had been sitting out on my table for weeks, just sitting there, and I don't have any current plans on what to do with it. It's not a priority for me. So finally I put it away, and then I was I just put it away, and now I need to get it back out to show on the podcast, and I forgot to get it back out, and I don't care that much, so I'm not gonna go get it out because I think I've shown it before, and I will certainly show it again. But it's really pretty, and I do want to get another band on the loom, because my favorite pair of pants, which are these really oversized camo parachute pants with a drawstring, I like to tie my drawstring really tight, and then I never untie it, and then I just always am shimmying it past my hips. And, um, oh my gosh, sorry, I just got so hungry that I can't think. But do I eat a protein bar in the middle of my podcast? I also have like nothing to eat at my house right now. I have like eggs and sausage, and that is the only food I have that I could cook and eat. And I probably will cook that for lunch before I go to the gym. I do want to go to the gym today. A lot to do today, honestly. Ugh. But what was I saying? See, I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, that I want to get another project on my Inkle loom because I would like to. I broke the drawstring to my favorite pair of pants, and I'm like, I should weave a new drawstring, which I know is extra, but honestly, those types of like little auxiliary sewing components are hard to replace. Like, unless you're really familiar with the like retailers that sell things like cordage for drawstrings, which I'm not. It's not the kind of thing that you can just go get at the craft store that I know of. And most normal fabric websites aren't selling that stuff. So it's a nice opportunity for me to make it myself. But I'm just not wearing those pants, so I should prioritize. If I'm gonna do that, I should just do it. And I don't think I want to do tablet weaving for that. I think I want to do a plain weave on the Inkle loom, just so that I can get it done more quickly. And because also I don't necessarily care about having like a fancy design on the drawstring. Though I was just seeing some narrow like drawstring size bands that people were doing on a tablet weaving group on Facebook, and I was like, ugh, that would be really cool actually to do a tablet woven one. I don't know. We'll see. But I should decide and do it. So I haven't been knitting as much because for like 2 months I wasn't doing any jewelry as I was dealing with torch drama. The torch drama is behind me. The company where I bought my torch has replaced my kit because mine was malfunctioning a little bit in a scary way. And I am so fully back. I was like nervous to get back into it. I was like scared of my torch a little bit, and also just like these skills really take practice and maintenance. You know, it's like playing a musical instrument or speaking a language. If you don't use it, you lose it a little bit. So I was definitely nervous to like get back into using those skills. And I told myself I was going to start with something really easy, but I wouldn't say I started with something particularly difficult, but I did immediately start with like new designs using slightly different techniques than I've used before. And luckily it turned out well, and I do feel like I was quickly able to get back into the swing of those skills. So I've made 4 rings in the past couple weeks that I have been smithing, and most of them are like 2-day projects, I would say. Um, but it's like I'll work on jewelry for 4 hours in the morning, and then I do other stuff for the rest of the day, and I'll do that 2 days in a row, and I can usually finish some pieces. But first of all, I made this ring for my birthday, which, talk about new techniques. I've known that I want to learn to set faceted gems, which a faceted gem is like what you think of like a stereotypical like this, like it's like a diamond shape gem. And a very typical setting for that is called a basket setting. And that, I'm sorry, it's so backlit. I wish I could get more light over here. Maybe next time I do this, I put my, because I'm having a lot of light from the window because it's the middle of the day. But I also did take out my new softbox like diffuser light. Maybe I put that over here for next time. That would be a good idea. Anyway, let me just be back here a little bit. I knew I wanted to do this, but it's been something I'm afraid to do because it is a very delicate technique with a lot of these little seams that need to be soldered. And I've been watching YouTubes on how to make basket settings for months, so I've had an idea of the way the technique goes, but I've been very scared to try it because it's scary. You know, knitting generally you can try new things, and even if it takes a long time, you can at least recuperate your materials if you can't recuperate your time. With jewelry, it is often the case that the project must be scrapped if something really goes horribly wrong. And you don't like, I mean, you can still keep your metal to be remelted, you know, but you have to start over on the full piece. Um, and yeah, unless you have a setup where you can like process metal into ingots and draw them out into wires, then you have to use more of whatever like wires and components you're using. So anyway, I started this just on a whim the other day. I was like, you know what? I want to try a basket setting. I don't know what came over me. And I watched a video and just started doing it. And then I had this amethyst. It's a 12 millimeter. It's called like a pixel cut because from the top, it's like a bunch of like little squares that look like pixels. I had this gemstone ready to go, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. And then as I was working on it, and I was like, okay, like it's coming together, but definitely it's gonna be slightly shabby as my first attempt at a basket setting. I was like, if this turns out, why not let this be for me? It's been a while since I've made a piece for myself. Mostly I'm making pieces that I'm stockpiling to sell later on. Um, and there was definitely a lot of drama making this. Like in the very last steps, it started to completely like fall apart, and I was so excited to have this ring for my birthday, and I was going to be so sad if it didn't turn out, because I was making this the day before my birthday, and when I decided I was going to keep it, I got so excited that I get to have this new piece of jewelry with this. Like, I love this setting. It's so exciting that I know how to do this now. And normally when something starts to fall apart like that, it was at a point where I was like, I may have to scrap it, but I may be able to fix it, but it will be difficult. And like at that point I was like very emotional and very stressed, and I was like, I should put this down and come back to it another like day when I've cooled off and had time to like think, so I can think clearly and not be emotional while I'm working on it. Because like, you just need to have a really calm, level head and be able to work with a lot of like intention and precision when you're doing metal work. It actually goes against my nature, the amount of like precision you have to have in doing this. I can't believe I've gotten into this as a hobby and potentially as a professional venture. But I was like, tomorrow's my birthday and I'm gonna be working all morning on my sale, and then I'm gonna have other stuff to do. Like, I'm not gonna have time for jewelry. And when I get in the middle of a project, my whole jewelry space back there starts to become chaotic. There are tools everywhere and it's just a mess. And I was like, I don't wanna leave my room like totally messed up, and I just wanna see if I can fix this. So I kept working, and it was like, the jewelry gods knew this was special for my birthday, and they smiled upon me, and all the repair work that I had to do to get it back into the final stages of being done, everything went really smoothly, and I was able to fix it perfectly. There are many things about this that are crude, but I love the way it turned out. It's really so beautiful. I mean, can you believe? I would definitely like to start making more basket settings and sell them when jewelry starts getting sold. I do think I would, like, honestly charge a pretty fair amount for something like this. I think this would be like an example of the most expensive piece that I've made so far. Just the gemstone for this is probably like a $40 gemstone, which in the world of gemstones, that's nothing. But for the gemstones I'm using, that's a little bit more pricey. And the amount of work. And also, this is quite a thick silver band, so I'm thinking a lot about how I want to price things going forward. But this is something that I would say could be around $200, honestly. And that feels fair to me. That's so pretty. But let me show you the other rings that I've made recently. The first projects I started with when I got back were these two rings using a new design and a new silhouette that I've never used before. These kind of like flying saucer hammered rings with bezel set. So these are cabochons, right? These are not faceted gems. These are just smooth polished. And these are large, like, I think these are also 12 millimeter nephrite jade. And I love the way this turned out. And then I did another prong setting, but not a basket setting, for this blue chalcedony cabochon. And you can also kind of see a little bit of a different finish on the metal. I used a satin finish, so it's like brushed and scratched rather than hammered or just polished smooth. Sorry it's so backlit, but okay, I'm learning for next time. A little bit of a different setup. Also down to 37%. Okay, it's gonna be annoying because you know I don't like to stop recording. But can you just give me like 30 seconds while I plug in my camera? Yes, you can. It's my birthday. I really hope this doesn't do any drama with the recording. Okay, no, the recording's still going. Yay! We're plugged in. That wasn't so bad, right? Oh, I'm not wearing my princess ring. I'm also thinking about what I'm gonna be calling. Like, I want to have interesting names for my jewelry pieces. And this, like, simple basket setting solitaire with, like, a thick gemstone like this feels princessy. But I'm like, I don't want to call it princess and then have men feel like it's not for them. Like, jewelry doesn't have a gender. So maybe I don't call it a princess ring. But it is very princessy. Like, Forsaken Princess ring. Okay, that's jewelry. And also, as I've been saying for like 6 months, there will come a time that you can buy James & Watts jewelry pieces. And I can't say when, but I swear it's really, I mean, it's always getting closer, regardless of when it is. We're always moving closer to that time, but I really feel it in my bones. I've stockpiled enough pieces to have a nice little launch. It's becoming a priority in the next month or so to buckle down and figure everything out and have a date for you guys by late spring, probably. I want to say, like, I think we should be launched before the start of summer. Summer start in June or July? I think it starts in June. Or early summer. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about future design plans. I mean, you've seen the DK basic draw sleeve sweater. We talked a little bit last time about these lace swatches. I do want to do some lace. I don't know if I want to do it for fall or next year. But I ordered, my first time ordering Drops yarn. I ordered Drops Air, which I ordered from overseas. I don't know if we have retailers in the US for that. And I ordered 16 balls. I ordered a lot. And I tried to order 8 balls of green and 8 balls of pink, and something, I misclicked. I'm sure it was me. I doubt it was them. I'm sure it's like pretty automated on their end. But I thought I was ordering half and half of 2 different colors, and I really wanted to swatch some interesting brioche ideas I had for this. Drops Air is like a bulky, blown, like netted, alpaca-y, fuzzy yarn. That's like bulky but really, really light. And I wanted to try some brioche ideas, 2 color brioche ideas. And then I got my package and it was 16 balls of all green yarn. And I just was like, immediately I was like annoyed. And then thinking, okay, I should try to return this and like get what I wanted. And then I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't have time and I don't care. And like, I can absolutely still use this yarn and make something beautiful. And I kind of like those moments where it's like, it doesn't go to according to plan and you can like choose to be creative instead and use what you have. So I was like, I have so much more than I would need for like a normal sweater in one color, right? I bought a lot because brioche uses a lot of yarn. And I was thinking of doing cables, which uses yarn, extra yarn too. And I was like, well, why don't I do a cabled sweater? I never design cables, or very rarely. I have some cable elements on one of my hats, and that might be it, unless I'm forgetting something. Arcane Beanie has a cabled brim, which is really beautiful, which I would like to do another cabled brim like that with more cables on a hat. So maybe I would like to do a hat design for the fall. I usually like to do at least one hat a year. So maybe I do a cabled hat. Anyway, I'm thinking of doing an all-over cabled drop sleeve sweater in this really bright green drops air that I have so much of. I don't love cabling. In fact, it's one of the few knitting techniques out of the techniques I've tried. There's actually many techniques I've never done before. There's so many interesting, more niche knitting techniques like double knitting and I haven't done that much like mosaic and slip stitch, only a little bit. Um, One technique that I really have zero interest in, but I do think is interesting, and it's so funny that like there's a whole world around it, is that illusion knitting, where it's like you have to view it at the right angle, and then it shows you like a whole picture from like all of these like strategically placed stitches that are somehow like at a different angle. uh, that is wild to me, but I'm not particularly interested in that. Personally, no offense to my illusion knitting lovers out there, but I'm not a big cable girly. But I love the look of cables, and maybe if I knit them more, I could learn to love them. So my two ideas are to either just do some mix of traditional cables and a more like normal cable sweater, or my other idea, which I'm more leaning to because it's more exciting design-wise and it's less cable knitting, is to do some really massive cables, where I maybe only have like 3 cables on the front of the sweater, but they're huge. I think that would be visually like so cool and so impactful, and that's probably what I'll do. And then I don't actually have to do that many cables, and I feel like that could potentially consume a lot of yarns to have such big crossovers. So it's good I have so much of this yarn. So that is a future design idea I wanted to talk about, to be excited about. I do need to start swatching for that already sometime soon. Like I got really ahead on summer. So I think I'm just gonna stick to, I have 2 summer garments coming out, my Look at My Holes boxy and my strippy stripe tank top, which will come out in May and June. And I think I'm good for summer. So I wanna be feeling like I'm ahead on fall. I'm trying to put out a few less patterns for the coming months so that I can more split my time between my other professional pursuits, between music and jewelry, be more mindful about my knitting designs, and also always feel like I'm staying ahead. So I'm not feeling stressed like I need to design something for this month right now. Like it's a horrible feeling and something that takes so much time. Okay, let's get a little bit off of knitting and start to wrap up. I mean, I might go another hour, but probably not. But I just want to talk a little bit about, what I'm watching, what I'm doing, what I want to be doing, how other things are going, and let's talk about TV. I watched all of the new season of Wheel of Time, season 3. There's 8 episodes. Wheel of Time, the TV show on Amazon Prime. I just started watching it randomly. I had watched all of Game of Thrones for the first time a few years back, and then when I finished it, I wanted more fantasy, and Wheel of Time season 1 was relatively new at that point, and I was like, well, let me watch this, and then I loved it, and it actually got me into the books, and that's why I read all 14 books of the Wheel of Time series, which, unless you are just a huge fantasy reader, I don't necessarily recommend them. they're really long and there's so many of them, and I know it's just not a practical pursuit for most people. But I loved reading them, and I'm happy because it got me into reading, and I've stayed into reading since finishing that series. But the TV show is very different from the books, and that does not bother me. I love the TV show, and I can just enjoy it being different. I um, I waited for season three. Like season three started, and I was just feeling really busy, and I didn't want to watch it. Like when I really love a show, I want to make sure I'm in the right mindset to completely enjoy it. So I don't want to be watching 10 minutes here and there if I'm super busy. Like I want to wait till I can sit down and be watching full episodes and giving it my full attention. And I'm kind of glad I waited because it was fun to have all the episodes out, and I was watching like one episode per night for like a week and a half before I finally finished all 8 episodes. And I loved it. It was great. I highly recommend it. I always want people to watch it because I'm so scared that it could get canceled. It's like a big show. It's like high budget, beautiful costumes, beautiful magic effects, beautiful settings. I'm sure it costs a lot of money to produce, and I need it to be getting views so that they don't cancel it, because then it's one less thing for me to live for. I think one of the reasons I'm feeling so hungry is like I don't normally have a second coffee, and this was like a big coffee. And sometimes like having a little bit more caffeine more quickly than I'm used to can make me feel a little bit tummy achy, and like I just like it hits me more when I'm on an empty stomach, which I had breakfast, but that was hours ago at this point. It is well into lunchtime. I think we're probably at between 1 and 2 p.m. at this point. So yes, Wheel of Time is great. I recommend it. Other than that, I've been watching Real Housewives. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills finished. The reunion's done. I don't have that much to say about it. Like, the past few seasons of Beverly Hills have been kind of boring, especially when you compare it to Salt Lake City, which is just every season hits. Every season has me laughing my ass off the whole time. I'm so entertained. But I do still feel like close to the ladies of Beverly Hills because I've been watching it for so long. And that was the first like big franchise I got into. So yeah, I hope that they get their act together and it becomes more entertaining. The only other one that I'm like really actively watching that is currently airing is Atlanta, and again, it's like it's also kind of going through a flop era. It's a little bit boring. And like there has been big drama on this season of Atlanta if you're into Housewives and you follow it, with like this scandal with Kenya showing inappropriate pictures of one of her castmates at a public event, and she ended up getting fired from the show as a result. Which that's nuanced, and people have all sorts of different takes on like whether she should have been fired or not. And I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I do love Kenya, and I'll miss her on the show, even if what she did was awful. I don't watch Housewives to see people do good. That sounds awful. And a lot of times they do good. Like it's like following the lives of wealthy women. Many of them, almost all of them, are involved in like good causes and charities and stuff, and they love to show that. But that's not why I watch it. I watch it to be entertained, and a lot of times what's entertaining is seeing them be messy and be mean to one another. And Kenya brings a lot of messiness, but I also find her. I generally don't like to watch on any Housewives franchise um, a cast member who I feel like has like a truly rotten or evil soul. It can be entertaining, but it gets like old, and it can make the environment overly toxic in a way where I'm like, okay, they've got to go. Um, and Kenya, as flawed as she is, I see her as like deeply human, someone who is very like damaged and traumatized, but like I just feel like at her core she is a good person, but she also is a hurt person, and hurt people hurt people. So I don't know. I'm a Kenya stan. But really, what the show is missing is Nene Leakes, who did bring a lot of toxicity to the show and was like quite negative by the time she got off of it. It's like you could tell she hated being on it, but she's just so funny. I don't know. Atlanta needs something, but I still love it and I'm still watching it. But it's like there's a lot of new girls this season, and it's like a totally kind of a weird vibe. Um, Also, what many people online are commenting on, and I also am feeling, is like a lot of the husbands of the women on Atlanta, they just seem like they hate their wives, and I hate that. I I don't really want to see husbands of housewives on any franchise generally unless they're like really funny. It's not why I watch. I don't want to watch Real House husbands, but I particularly don't like to watch a husband who like seems misogynistic or like can't stand his wife. Ew. Stop filming the husbands, please. That's TV. Books. I'm gonna talk about books, but I'm still on the Earthsea cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin, book 3, which is called The Farthest Shore, and I haven't been reading. I'm like losing my habit, and every day I say, tonight's the night that I'm going to open up my book, and I start to get anxiety about it because I haven't been reading. So I'm like, well, what if I don't know where I'm at in the book, and do I just start over? And it's like I need to just shut up and read, even if it, excuse me, even if it takes a chapter where I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, I don't care. I don't need to be writing a book report on this. I'm not going to be tested on it. I don't care if I only comprehend 75% of the book. I want to read it for my own entertainment because I enjoy it. So I can guarantee you I'm not going to enjoy it if I'm not reading it at all. So I just need to read it. And then I can go on to a new book, which I'm always excited to go on to the next book. And it's so short, too. It's just I've loved the other books in the series, so that's why I put pressure on myself of like, I want to fully enjoy it. I don't want to miss anything, and I do want to completely comprehend and like remember the details and stuff. But I will try next time I record to have a good report of either having finished or made a lot more progress on that one. Games, I am lightly gaming. That's one of the reasons I'm reading less is I've actually been like wanting to play video games at night after a while of not playing them. And I'm like playing a bunch of different stuff just here and there. I'm playing like 20 minutes of this, 15 minutes of this. But I've been playing my modded, hacked 3DS, which I like added a Super Nintendo emulator to my 3DS and some Super Nintendo games. I've been playing this really like niche, esoteric Super Nintendo game called Soul Blazer. I won't get into it. It's like not relevant at all, but I'm enjoying it. And then I've also been playing a 3DS game on the 3DS, which was the new Yoshi's Island, which is really cute. The art style is very beautiful and has like a like crayon chalk pastel like hand painted vibe to all the backgrounds and the settings and the characters, which I find really beautiful. And then another game with really like beautiful atmospheric art and music is Chrono Cross, which is like it is the successor and the sequel to Chrono Trigger, an extremely important and impactful game in my life and in many RPG gamers' lives, which is it's like the most important JRPG for the Super Nintendo, which I've played Chrono Trigger throughout my life many times. Chrono Cross I've played a few times in my life, but I never actually finished it, and I'm pretty close to finishing it. And I'm playing that on my Nintendo Switch, which I for a while was like playing in bed handheld, but I've plugged it back in to play on the TV, and I much prefer playing my Switch on the TV. It's nice to see a game with such beautiful art and nice music on a big screen like that. And also, it's kind of cumbersome to play the Switch handheld, honestly. It's just big, especially compared to my 3DS, which is quite comfortable in the hands. Uh, what I would like to play, I want to get back into Elden Ring at some point. I was obsessed with Elden Ring for like a while, and there's more for me to do in that game. I did not play through all of the like extra expansion pack content or whatever it is, the Shadow of the Erd Tree, and I want to get through that. Uh, and then I might want to play some other Souls games if you're familiar with that genre, but it's the genre that Elden Ring is. one of my best friends, Anna, was just recommending one of the other Souls games to me. Like, I forget if she was telling me to play Dark Souls or another one. But one thing that's truly calling to me when I have time to sink my teeth into something new and big is they have just put out a remastered version of the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which the only Elder Scrolls game I've ever played is Skyrim, which I played for the first time when it was relatively new, when I was in like, I don't know, maybe even middle school or high school. And I've been playing Skyrim off and on ever since. I've played it so many times, and I could see Skyrim being a game that I continue to play for the rest of my life. Like, there's so much to do. It's such a big open world. It's never not fun to me, even after doing it so many times. And I know I would love Oblivion because Skyrim gamers also who played Oblivion before love Oblivion, and many of them say it's even better than Skyrim. So they just put out the remastered version, and when I have time, I want to get into that so badly. How's the gym going? The gym is going well. I would say I started to pump up my frequency again. For like a month, I was going a little less frequently to make more time for other things. And then it's like I didn't get to go at all when my mom was visiting for a week. So then when she was gone, I was like, oh, I want to catch up. And I like started feeling the urge to go every day, which like, I don't know, I don't feel it's not that deep. I'm not like feeling like, oh, I'm going too hard or I'm not going enough. I do what I want to do and I enjoy myself and I listen to my body. And right now I'm enjoying going as frequently as I'm able to. So that's most days. But it does mean prioritizing that. It's like a big chunk of my day and it means doing less of other things, but it's important to me and it's been really good for me. And yeah, I'm getting stronger. I'm like able to do a lot more pull-ups and chin-ups than I've ever done before, which is so funny. It took like 2 years to be able to do one. But then once I could do one, it was like the floodgates were released and it's easy to start adding on more reps from there as long as I am diligent about doing them. So the other day I did 32 chin-ups for my 32nd birthday on my birthday workout, which was funny. And just I don't think I've done more than 25. I was doing them in small chunks. I was doing sets of 3 reps because if I start trying to do 5, 6 at a time, I exhaust my muscles like instantly, and I'm not gonna make it much past like 15. But doing these, one of the few people who's actually like come up and started talking to me at Planet Fitness because I like see all the same people, but I'm shy. I'm not the type to go up to strangers and start talking about working out and stuff. But there's this one guy who's like friendly with everyone at the gym, and so I'll talk to him, and he gave me the idea to do a bunch of sets of 2 pull-ups at a time, and then you can do a lot more. And that's how I've been starting my back day workouts, and I really like that. But I was like, I want to try to get to 32, and I'm gonna try 3 pull-ups or chin-ups, what have you, in each set, and I was able to do it. I would say my last few sets, I was like only able to do like 2.5, which I didn't count the halves. So then when I finished, I had to do like 2 extra sets of 1 to get to 32, which like it doesn't matter. It's just an arbitrary number, but it was just like a fun little goal to set for myself on a special day. So gym is going well, but as the weather is getting warmer, for one thing, it's like great. Now it's time to have several months of sweating in my apartment, which I have AC, but it's window units, and that does not cool the apartment that effectively. They're not that powerful. And I also don't want to run up my electricity bill super, super, super duper high. So I may take that as an incentive to be getting out of the house and enjoying the city this summer, which like, then I have to weigh like, if I'm gonna go to a cafe and spend $6 on a fancy coffee, how much would I spend to just run my AC at my house? Like if I'm thinking about money, then I don't know. I don't know which costs more or what the consideration is, but it may be worth it it's also good for my mental health to be getting out, and it's nice to enjoy living in a city. So I may be doing a lot of knitting out and about and then hanging out in my house in the evenings, but I'm gonna be wanting to do jewelry, but I'll try to do it in the morning when the house is cooler, and or at night, I don't know. And just I'll be sweaty. It is what it is. uh why was I talking about the heat? Oh, because in addition to the gym, the hell was that? I don't know if you heard that, but something just made such a weird noise. I don't know what it was, but I'm scared. Um, I'm getting back out into running outdoors rather than just running on the treadmill. And I'm also getting back in the lake, as I mentioned earlier, which it is still inhospitably freezing, frigid, cold. Let me plug my Substack if you are interested in consuming written content from me, which I'm not like a writer, but I guess I've become one because I started writing every week, which that wasn't in the cards, but I am enjoying it, and I think there are some people who are enjoying reading it. But if that sounds interesting to you, then check out jamesandwatts.substack.com. My Substack is called Sorry I'm Good at Everything, just because I have 1 million hobbies and I tend to get obsessed with them and excel in them. Um, and sometimes I do feel a little bit embarrassed or apologetic for having so many like things that I do and that I do well. Like, it's never to make anyone else feel like they don't do enough, but I know some people are just like, seriously, like you have to play all these instruments and speak a language and do jewelry and do knitting and do sewing and do spinning and do weaving. Like I'm sorry, I really like all of it and I would like to do even more. And I already am like pulling my hair out trying to make time for everything. I uh My last Substack last weekend was an ode to Lake Michigan, which I really got out of my comfort zone in writing and decided to write a really cutesy poem. It's nothing special, it's not groundbreaking. I didn't spend that much time on it, but I just was like, let me write a few stanzas, have some type of rhyming going on, and make it cute and funny and enjoyable to read more than anything. Nothing too deep. Followed by a little bit of a reflection on how I've gotten into cold water swimming and how happy I am to have made my 2025 return to Lake Michigan. So go check that out. But yes, I have gone swimming 2 times in the past week. Whenever it's sunny and warm outside, that's when I want to go. Honestly, I could go today, but I don't think I will because I'd rather go to the gym today. But yeah, we love the lake. See you there. I do want to this summer. I want to, for the people who follow me who are from Chicago, I would love to just start putting out calls like, hey, I'm going for a swim. Like, let's meet at this beach on this Saturday for lakeside hangout, knit, and swim. And whoever wants to come can come. And even if nobody comes, those are things I love to do alone anyway. So if you live in Chicago and you would ever be interested in doing that, let me know. Don't be shy. If I put out the call, it's because I would love to meet anyone who would want to join. Uh, that's swimming. That's gym. That's running. I have been doing one last thing I want to say about the gym. This kind of ties in with everything I was just talking about. There's a lot of articles that come up for me on Substack about people who are trying to go through like switching to dumb phones rather than smartphones, trying to get off of Instagram, trying to get off of TikTok, trying to stop scrolling mindlessly. And there's something about me where I always click on those. I'm interested to see what are people saying, like how do people think that social media is like negatively affecting them, and what do they think is the effect of like using it less? And most of those articles I actually think are kind of brain dead, or like they're not very insightful or impactful, but I'm curious, so I read them anyway. And a lot of them are kind of hypocritical because they're like not viewing Substack as social media, which it is. And they're also, I don't like when someone wants to capitalize off of contributing to social media, yet they feel like they're on a higher plane than everyone who's consuming their content because they don't consume anyone else's content, you know? That's not cool. Why would I be pumping out YouTube videos, Substack articles, picture sets, and reels on TikTok and Instagram. And then I'm like, but I'm on a higher plane. I have reached nirvana. I don't use social media. That's kind of like the vibe, and I think it's silly. Uh, but I did read one the other day, which was interesting. And I don't think it was like groundbreaking or anything, but it was thought provoking for me. It was this guy who I believe he has a Buddhist background and has like a meditation practice, and he's made it a almost spiritual practice of his to. He had a bunch of rules for himself, not only related to social media, but like overall media consumption. But he pretty much was doing like a media fast that also related to like um, exercising, and he also like related to his like sexual practice in his life. And like, I'm not trying to do all of that. He like wasn't for like the past 2 years. He wrote an article on Substack about how for the past 2 years he takes like 2 months. It's like a long amount of time where he doesn't consume any media. He's not reading. He's not listening to music. He's not um, watching movies or TV or YouTube. He's like still allowed to, he's not scrolling, no mindless scrolling on any social media. He's like still allowed to use the internet if he's like wants to research something or Google something, put something in on ChatGPT, but he's not just mindlessly consuming, and he's not consuming any media. um, and yeah, it was like an interesting take of like, this is a practice that I take on for this set amount of time from year to year. And these are the effects I think it has and why I like doing it. And here are the changes I noticed. And I certainly was not trying to do all that, but it did just make me think like, okay, there are times where I definitely am scrolling mindlessly, just like looking for the next like dopamine hit. And I love to scroll, but I don't want to do it compulsively, you know? As someone who has so many interests and tasks and professional obligations, I could use my time better if I didn't ever let myself get sucked into a scrolling hole. So I tried to recognize when I'm starting to scroll in that way and stop myself and just like, scroll when I want to intentionally, like when I wake up and have coffee. Like that's a great time to scroll for a little bit, or at the end of the day before I don't. One thing I always do is I keep my phone plugged in another room. I don't sleep with my phone because otherwise I'm not gonna, whether I want to play a video game or read my book, if my phone is right by my bed, then when I get in bed I'm just gonna be on my phone, and sometimes I'll stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning. I like can't put it down. So that's massively helpful. But the reason I bring this up is that I this is a little bit crazy, honestly, but I have started keeping my phone locked up in my locker at the gym. And I don't wear earbuds, so no phone distraction and no listening to music. I'm raw dogging the gym, but it's because I want to stay focused. I want to get in and get out. I want to not waste time and be at the gym for more than 2 hours. That is too much. I want to be in and out in 1 hour or like an hour and a half. And it's been going really well, but it is a shift. But the part where I really feel like, okay, I'm being a little bit intense is running for 20 minutes or like around 2 miles on the treadmill with no music to distract me. That is really difficult, especially a treadmill is so boring. At least when you run outside, you're moving around, you're going somewhere, you're seeing people and things and nature. But a treadmill in Planet Fitness, one of the ugliest places on earth, is not cool to have no distraction. So I have never really been into meditation, but I've turned it into a meditative practice by I used to do a lot of yoga, so I guess that was a bit meditative. And they would teach us in yoga to have a drishti, or like a gaze, a fixed gaze on a point. So I'm running and I try to fix my gaze on one point and not be distracted by what's going on around. And then I also am counting my breaths. So the entire 20 minutes that I'm running, I count every inhale, and it makes the time fly by. It is difficult. Like I really have to keep my focus, and I definitely get tired and like want to stop running, but that's anytime I run. But it's nice to focus on something mindful and intentional rather than just like trying to focus on something that will distract me from the run. And the runs have been going by more quickly counting my breaths than they do when I listen to music, honestly. I, beyond the meditative practice and the like tempering my concentration and my focus, it is also data for my workout. It's really interesting to see how many breaths I need to complete the same run from day to day of training and how that's changed. In my last run, I couldn't believe I've done this like 3 times, and I've had a run that was 650 breaths, and I had a run that was 450 breaths, and it's amazing to me the way I was able to take 200 less breaths for the same run just by focusing. And one of the things that I'm also focusing on is slowing down my breathing and breathing as deeply as possible. And it's funny, the run where I did less breaths, I finished that run flew by because I wasn't checking the time because I thought that I could make it to like 500 breaths before hitting 20 minutes, but I was past 20 minutes. Um, I what was I gonna say? I am just staying focused. Oh, I was gonna say that on the run where I had only 450 breaths in 20 minutes, when I finished that run, I ended up going past 20 minutes. And then when I got off the treadmill, I wasn't really out of breath and I wasn't really like overly sweaty. So it's interesting keeping track of and controlling and slowing down and breathing deeply actually makes my body like work more efficiently. If you like hate exercise, I hope you already turned off this video like 20 minutes ago. I'm sure I would have before I got into the gym. I like didn't care about hearing people talk about their workouts. But hopefully, if you are watching, you're enjoying it and not suffering. But sorry, these are the things I think about. And I could talk about this for 3 hours, but instead I only talk about it for 15 minutes. Thank you for all of the kind words and concern about butt surgery. Most people said, no, you do not need to tell me the details. I do have one comment on the last video that's asking for details. So I will not go into it in this video, but I will respond to their comment and tell them what I'm going to have done. But it's like a bunch of things. I've delayed that just because out of an abundance of caution, because I still have some gigs in May, where I'm going to have to be seated for hours at a time for orchestra. I want to make sure if I need extra time to recover that I'm not putting myself in a like uncomfortable position. So I've delayed butt surgery until the second half of May. I think it'll be like third week of May, but it is still on the schedule and I am still, the main thing I'm nervous about is the cost. Again, it's just like, I hate the way it's just normalized in America to like, oh, you have necessary surgery you're doing. Like, okay, get ready to incur thousands of dollars of medical debt. It's so stupid. And it's evil also beyond that. The way people justify that really sickens and disgusts me. The people who like don't see a problem with that. What I would like to be doing more of, watching anime. I do watch anime. I'm really into running right now. I like to do cardio at the gym, and it's usually either climbing the stairs or being on the treadmill. And lately, I'm on the treadmill running. And when I'm on the treadmill running, I mean, now I don't have my phone at all. But even before, I would listen to music, not watch shows. It's too difficult to watch a show with all the movement. But when I'm climbing stairs, I'll watch a show. And lately, if I do the stairs, I'm watching anime, and that kind of seems like the only place where I'm watching anime. And I'd like to be watching anime regularly, along with other things. But I did start something new on a whim, which was Fire Force, and I really like it. It's got like demons, magic. It's an interesting premise. It's got nuns. I love a nun in an anime. I've only watched like 3 episodes, but I really like them so far. I had shown all that fiber that I got. Oof, I was just really slouched. I had shown all that fiber that I got in the last episode. I have not started spinning. Any day now, I'd like to get some spinning on the spinning wheel. I am falling off of my Chinese practice habit. I would like to keep that up. Just a little bit every day goes a long way with reading and writing. And I enjoyed so much doing that drawing last night, and it was just casual and easy. I don't need to put any pressure on myself. It just needs to be a habit of like, okay, a few times a week I sit down and do a doodle for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all it takes. And I think it's really good for me, and I enjoy doing it. And I'm good at it. And I could be even better at it if I did it regularly. So I'd like to be drawing. I put this here because I like it. It's like pretty, but I've done like 2 rows, maybe 4 rows since the last time I recorded. I have not kept up my end of the bargain of working on this a little bit every day, and I'm only hurting myself. I'm only robbing myself of the joy of knitting Shetland lace and robbing myself of the eventual joy of having a Shetland lace shawl to wear. So I would like to make time for my personal lace project. And yes, I believe I have really yapped and chit-chatted, and oh my gosh, I'm tired and I'm hungry. I want to eat. I want to eat my eggs and my sausage and then have a protein shake and hit the gym. I have another errand. I've had some bags in my car for like the past month of their trash bags filled with clothes and home goods to donate. I did as part of spring cleaning. So I'd like to go ahead and get those out of my car. I am going this weekend to Des Moines. Tomorrow I go to Des Moines and Jessie May is joining me, so that's going to be really fun to play for my first concert with the Des Moines Symphony. I'm just an extra musician as like a last minute sub for them. Never auditioned for them. Someone just recommended me and I got an email. That's how it goes sometimes when they need extra players. And we are doing an all Final Fantasy music concert called Final Symphony. So that's really fun. And this will be Jessie's first time getting to see me play violin in an orchestra concert. So that'll be really exciting. Past that, I have one more Peoria Symphony concert next month. And then I think I'm done with orchestra for the season. I'll have the summer off of orchestra and then start again in the fall. But did I have anything else to report about that? Not really. Just that it's a busy week for me between this birthday sale and new pattern, having an orchestra concert this weekend. But I feel blessed. As much as I yearn to like not feel like I'm working constantly, I also like to be busy. I like to be productive. I like to put things out into the world. And I feel grateful that I get to have so many creative pursuits in my life. It's really cool to clothe myself in original designs and write up patterns and see other people put their spin on it and clothe themselves in my work and work with raw materials of metals and gemstones from the earth and create sonic art through music. I'm being really like annoying and poetic right now, but it's true, and I'm lucky to have been given the opportunities throughout my life to become who I am today and have all these creative pursuits. But it's been a great birthday. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of this 12-hour long video, you're a real one. And if you quit halfway through, that's also real in a different way, and I respect it. See you for the next video. See you for summer knitting. I think I might want to be running a cowl for mesh. I need to just go ahead and commit myself to do it. There's no reason not to do it. It'll be fun. It's just like it's more work. It's more organization on the front end. But once I get it organized, get some prizes settled, maybe decide if I'm going to have in-person component to the cowl. Once it's in motion, then it's just enjoyable for everyone who wants to take part. So keep your eyes out for that. Make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter at jamesandwatts.com. Any day now, you'll get an email with a date for James and Watts jewelry. Okay, I'll leave you there. Thanks for watching. Bye.